I want to start out by introducing my husband, Paul Scott. His encouragement and love have made me the woman that I am today. And don't say that lightly. I also want to thank Dick and also Jimmy Donald for inviting me to speak today. And I want to thank Amy and Brent Powell for hosting me and Paul. I bring you a warm hello from my colleague in the House, Representative Jesse Young, who enjoyed meeting many of you when he was running for Congress a few years ago. I am Elizabeth Scott, State Rep in the 39th, and my district is most of Skagit, most of Snohomish, and a chunk of King, as mentioned. So it includes, on Highway 2, Monroe, Sultan, Gold Bar, Index, Snohomish, all the way to the top of the mountains. Granite Falls, most of Arlington, a chunk of Marysville. Cedar Woolley, Lyman, Hamilton, Concrete, Rockport, and Meadowmount up in Skagit County, again to the top of the mountains. Oso and Darrington are smack dab in the middle of my district. So the folks in Oso and Darrington told me to tell you, thank you for all of your prayers and support that you sent over to help after the landslide. It is really very deeply appreciated. I've been asked to give you a recap of this legislative session so far. Can everybody hear me all right? No. Okay. Just so you know, I ran on a platform of jobs, schools, and fiscal responsibility. But on the doorstep, when people would say, well, what are you really going to do? I'd say, lower taxes and don't touch my guns. So that kind of tells you where I'm coming from, and here's how I see it. The good news is that on the gun bills, we've been able to kill most of the new bad gun bills, or at least get enough no votes on them in the House that the Senate will likely kill them. And just a heads up, the effort to strip you of your inalienable, God-given right to keep and bear arms is coming from all sides. It's not only coming from Judiciary Committee, it's coming from the Healthcare and Wellness Committee. It's coming even from the Early Learning and Human Services Committee. So you all need to keep an eye on those different directions. Don't expect it to be this hand when it's actually that hand over there that's about to take one of your rights. The bad news is most of the bills that were intended to overturn I-594 or at least send it back to the voters now that more of them know what was in 594, or even to the bills to address individual problems with I-594 died in committee. Even simple little bills to erase the harmful effects of I-594 on museums, active military, and small businesses. So we still have a lot of work to do to restore protection of our inalienable right to keep and bear arms. In a nutshell, the size, scope, cost, and weight of government are growing every day. Government spending is out of control. I know this doesn't come as a shock to you, but we're going to get into the details. The federal government is now, as you know, over $18 trillion in debt, which is over $154,000 per taxpayer, or over $56,000 for every man, woman, child, and baby in the country. But in the legislature, if you vote no on increased state spending that comes with a federal match, you're told, even in the caucus, but Elizabeth, we don't want to leave that money on the table. Table? It's not a table, it's your pockets, with federal money coming out of one pocket and state money coming out of the other. And frankly, at this point in the game, we are talking about not our children's, but our grandchildren's pockets. So yes, as a matter of fact, I do want to leave that money alone. Meanwhile, we now have over 1 million people on food stamps here in Washington alone. That's 1 out of 6 of us. And we're now told that we are one of only 3 states where poverty is increasing. So, of course, there's a bill for a task force to figure out why. Save the money on that task force, I'll tell you why. Our state has higher unemployment than many other states because our state has an economy that is strangled by high taxes and oppressive regulation, even stricter than the federal FTPA. and decreased regulation, you will see more people get jobs and get off of state programs. You will see less financial distress, which is the biggest cause of arguments at home, leading to divorce, which often leads to government stepping in to try to fill the gap left by having only one parent in the home. In the year 2000, the total overall state spending by the legislature was about $40 billion with a B. And it has doubled since the year 2000, more than doubled. Total overall state spending, by that I mean the operating budget, the capital budget, the transportation budget, all the separate checking accounts rolled into one. You take all of those together, and it is now over $84 billion for a 2-year cycle. And no, our population and inflation have not increased at that same speed, so it really means a heavier and heavier burden on the taxpayers. The state government is getting over $3.7 billion extra in tax receipts this biennium above what they projected would come in. Let me say that again, above what they projected would come in and build the last budget around. In some states when this happened, they got extra money coming in. They sent rebate checks back to the taxpayers. Now here in Washington, every day, all day long, in 15-minute back-to-back sessions, meetings in their legislators' offices, people and lobbyists ask for more. And most of the people who are paying for it all are too busy working to come down and ask their legislators to please make the state live within its means. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you there is plenty of money coming in. But just in the last couple of weeks, we have passed hundreds of bills calling for additional expenditures, additional programs, or task forces or work groups, and many bills calling for higher taxes or fees, which of course I vote no on. The biggest one, and it's already come up tonight in my one-on-one conversations with some of you, the biggest one is, of course, the transportation tax package, which we now have the latest numbers for. I just received them this morning. The new fiscal note on the gas tax package, which passed out of the Senate with a number of Republican votes on it. Not all of them. And by the way, your Senator Hargrove, who's a Democrat, voted no on the gas package. You can be proud of him for that. Please send him a thank you note, because I'm sure he's under an enormous amount of pressure. The new fiscal note on the gas tax package, which you can find on ofm.wa.gov. That's the Office of Financial Management website, ofm.wa.gov, says that Senate Bill 5987, the transportation package, which was passed 27 to 22 in the Senate, has a 10-year cost projection. Are you ready for this? Of $4.5 billion in new spending. $3.6 billion of it will come from higher fuel taxes of at least $134 million a year. That will affect all of us. Plus, an ORV fuel tax, new fees for regular cars that won't kick in for a while so that people won't realize what hit them, but over $45 million a year for weight fees starting in 2023. And then starting next year in 2016, increases to the truckers and shipping, which of course will drive up the cost of anything that is shipped, and that's just about everything you buy, right? Increases in CDL licenses, increases in the cost for CDL instruction permits, CDL reduced skills exam fee, CDL requalification fee, plus increased costs for regular driver's license with enhanced ID, higher intermittent use trailer fees, higher license fees by weight, higher passenger car weight fees, higher car transfers, studded tires, and on and on and on. Just so we're clear, the House and Senate did pass a transportation funding bill in 2013 to fund ongoing projects. That bill was almost never mentioned in the media. Instead, the so-called transportation package was talked about a lot, and that is for additional projects. Now, I don't know about you, but in my district, the people are sick to death of being asked to dig deeper and deeper to fund things like the Big Bertha Tunnel boondoggle, light rail for areas that have already voted no on light rail, bike paths, pedestrian paths, off-ramps to nowhere, ferries that lean, so they're nicknamed in Olympia Eileen, with no repercussions to the Department of Transportation for their multi-billion-dollar goose. It's true that there are a few reforms that were passed in the new transportation package, like, get this, adding congestion relief as a stated goal again to the Department of Transportation. Yeah, I know, it was taken out a few years ago. They changed it to increase mobility. So I guess we can be happy that congestion relief is a stated goal again of the Department of Transportation. But seriously, we're supposed to get so excited about that we happily fork over $4.5 billion in new taxes and fees and a permanent gas tax hike that will make us #1 in the country in gas taxes? I don't think so. Ladies and gentlemen, government is like blackberries in Washington or kudzu in the South. It is naturally invasive and needs to be cut back from time to time. So let's talk about how to do that. There is a growing group in the legislature called the Freedom Agenda Team, and I'm on it. We propose bills that focus on lower taxes, less government, and more freedom. And we are finding dozens of colleagues on the other side of the aisle also to partner with us on our bills to shrink government and to protect our rights to life, liberty, property, our right to keep and bear arms, our right to privacy, our right to grow the kinds of crops that we want, and so on. It turns out that liberty isn't a partisan issue, and many share our concerns about the government use of drones, traffic cameras, data mining, Common Core, over-testing of our students, and so on. This year, the Freedom Agenda Team has proposed 80 bills, gotten 52 hearings. The Democrats have signed on to our bills 72 times. 6 of these bills have already passed the House, and 3 more have passed their committee and are on the floor calendar, ready to be voted on next week by the House, and 25 of our bills are still on the move, not dead, in either the House or the Senate. You can follow our progress by signing up for our newsletters on our pages at houserepublicans.wa.gov or on the Facebook group Freedom Agenda Washington. I want to thank you all for your time and your energy that you put into the party activities. Your role is critically important, and we need every single one of you helping us. Please continue to email, fax, call, or if at all possible, visit your legislators and work to elect people who will stick to the Washington State Republican Party platform, which calls for protection of life from conception to natural death. Calls for protection of our liberty and our property and our fiscal responsibility and government accountability. Thank you so much for having me up here tonight. God bless you and God bless America.